sky dark, torn apart. Lightning strikes my heart.
Way back into the distant past, when Pete was like 15, he joined a mail-in movie club, 11 days for pennies. And now cut to 2025, the movie club caught on to Pete's lie, and now they want to punish him, so they trapped him in a room with a bunch of movie tapes. Pete didn't want to pay for the movies he got in the 90s. He'll have to watch random horror tapes and tell us about gore and probably some rape. Now keep in mind, Pete didn't pick. They use random numbers and a long list. He's got to get through every movie, one each day for the time we can't foresee. Helpful Snowman roll call. Anxiety, grouchiness, entropy. Snow, if you're wondering why he did this song and other FAQ facts, just shut up and listen to this show, or fuck it, take a nice nap. It's Helpful Snowman Podoween 2025.
All right. Today's movie is called Lukewarm. It's on Letterboxd. You can find it, but it has the incorrect album art or whatever the fuck you'd call that movie poster. It's got the same poster as a completely different movie. But for some reason, this one has the same thing. I don't know. I don't even know if this movie has a movie poster. Here's my favorite Letterboxd review of this movie. I had to go to Letterboxd because I had to see if this was any more sensical to most people than it was to me, and it didn't seem to be, but also there aren't a ton of reviews. But here's my favorite. It is so bold to make a 2-hour musical when you have access to almost zero people who can sing. The movie kicks off with a song some guy sings about what a great day he's about to have because he's about to get a promotion, and it's like so certain that other people outside of his office presumably join in on the song, and then everybody in the office is talking, not singing anymore, and they're all like, this is going to be so dope when you get this big promotion you've earned. And then instead of getting promoted, him and everyone else get fired. You know, which really makes no goddamn sense, and it has me pretty sure that whoever wrote this has never worked at an actual job. Like, you don't go into a job thinking you're getting promoted and then get fired, right? Like, that's not really how it works. Not only do you get fired, the entire office gets fired. And for, you know, I don't understand how that would happen. Although I did once know a guy who got super drunk at a concert and passed out on the toilet. And when he got into work super late the next day, he got called into the boss's office, and he thought he was like in trouble for being super late. And he got told he was getting a significant bonus, you know, and he was like kind of flabbergasted by it. And the boss was kind of like, are you okay? You don't look too good. You know what I mean? So I suppose it has happened once kind of in the opposite direction, but it didn't happen for everyone in the office to misread the situation so badly. You know what I mean? It was just him, and he had a valid reason for thinking he was in trouble when he wasn't. Yeah. So anyway, the story is like this guy, after he doesn't get his promotion, which actually doesn't seem to really need to be in the movie, but boy meets girl. They're out at what I think is supposed to be a bar and looks to be like a hotel lobby or something. She gives him her number on a slip of paper because, you know, the movie was made in like 2022. So that's a totally reasonable thing. People don't even have fucking pen and paper in 2022. Okay. Everyone's got their phone, but instead of putting numbers into a phone, she gives it to him on paper, and he loses her number. And then probably sings a song about it. I can't remember which things prompted songs and which didn't, but a lot of them prompted songs. A lot of things. More things prompted songs than didn't. Like if this was a real life you lived in, it would be a hell of trying not to make anything that remotely like a significant life announcement, because you'd be like, oh, fuck, everyone's going to break into song again. Anyway, then his roommate is like, you should come to church with me. And he's like, I don't want to. And then he does. And then we get a montage about, how he's going to church and comes to like it or whatever. And there's probably like 2 or 3 songs in there about church isn't so bad. I thought it was bad, but it's kind of rad. I should have gone with my dad. Which, like, I always hate this shit because it's not like, the church is like, oh, it's really helped me through a hard time. But it's not like the church gave him a job. You know what I mean? That seems like the plot point to have here is like the church is like, we actually do need someone to do some groundskeeping. Do you think you'd be able to do that? And whatever. I mean, like, Community is good, but if I got fired from my corporate job or whatever, like, I need a job probably more than I need Jesus, like in the immediate, arguably, right? I mean, I guess that's a very atheistic perspective. And maybe I'm missing the point a little bit here, but it's just like, I don't know, losing a job doesn't seem like something that the church would be. The church could be helpful in a concrete way, but having Jesus in my life, I don't know if that's going to lessen the sting or lessen the immediate issue of needing to pay rent or whatever. Anyway, it turns out the church is a zombie church, as in a Christian church attended entirely by zombies. And of course, like, the pastor or whatever makes all these points about, like, Jesus was the original zombie. That's how he came back to life, which everybody's like, I was like, okay, take that back to 1997, buddy. Like, we've all heard that one before. But, they're like, what would Jesus do if he was a zombie? And, okay, so yeah, I guess the church is a zombie church. Now, here's what's weird. It's not like it's a zombie church, as in they like do different things than a Christian. It's exactly a Christian church. It's just everybody who's there is a zombie, or I guess a prospective zombie. So, this kid gets converted into a zombie. No one asks him or anything. They just do it. And then everyone also, I guess, they use makeup to cover up their rotting flesh, which I thought that was weird. Like, when I was thinking about this movie after watching it, I was like, there's zero indication whatsoever that anything weird is happening at the church until the guy gets zombified. So you're like, well, I mean, I think a better way to handle this would be for him to be like, something funky's happening at this church. You know what I mean? You make him the groundskeeper, and then there's like a little graveyard out back, and he keeps noticing someone keeps digging up these goddamn graves. What's going on? I don't know, something. But also, like, if everybody in the church except for you is a zombie who's covering up their rotting flesh with makeup, don't you think that would smell fucked up? Like, wouldn't that be the most fucked up smelling church? Again, be a great clue. And you know what, guys? It's difficult to convey a sense of smell in a visual format like a movie. But you can do things like, for example, you just have the church have a bunch of overflowing trash cans all the time, right? Which is something we can imagine the smell of. Or like they have a cookout and leave a bunch of rotten meat somewhere afterwards. And like they do all this to have an excuse for the smell. And as a bonus, like I, as a viewer, know what those things smell like. So it gives me some insight into what the smell is without broadcasting it directly all the time. Like, it smells like corpses in here. You're welcome. Okay, the girl with the phone number, it turns out, also has been going to a church, or starts going to a church again, or maybe was going before and now, I don't know exactly. There's a very awkward scene, like, because she's depressed. She's in her bedroom because the guy didn't call her back with her paper phone number. And, by the way, ladies, if you give someone your phone number on paper and he accepts it, he's probably assuming you gave him a fake phone number and probably won't even attempt to call you back. That's what I would assume. For sure. If I got a phone number and they were like, let me just write it down. And I'm like, couldn't you just text me right now and then I would have your phone number? But I wouldn't say that because I would be like, she's probably writing it on paper so that I won't really have it. That's what I would assume, but I have low self-esteem, so I'm the wrong person to gauge these practices. Anyway, the girl has a good mope going, and then these two priests like basically bust into her room, and they're like, "You should be coming back to church, or you should go to church. And also, why are you dressed like such a slut right now?" Which, like, I guess if she showed up to church dressed the way she was, that'd be a choice. But they came to her house and they're confronting her in her bedroom just after she woke up. Like, if someone's dressed inappropriately for church while sleeping and then someone else barges in on them and is scandalized, like, whose fault is that? So it turns out the girls' church is a vampire church, which is a fact I didn't really understand or put together because there was no scene in which she was transformed into a vampire, right? Like, we got the scene, the guy gets bitten, and then they explain everything to him that he's a zombie. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like 90% sure that never happens in this movie for the lady. Like, I even rewound the movie. I rewound the tape. I haven't forgotten. I'm in a dungeon. I'm watching tapes that, Columbia House is forcing me to watch. This is the premise, everybody. I rewound the tape and checked back and to see if I missed a vampire transformation, and I definitely didn't. So I don't think it was ever really explained. She just kind of is a zombie, or I mean a vampire. And so maybe we were supposed to understand that all churches are aligned with, mythical ghouls or whatever. But come on. It doesn't make sense. Each church has its one monster type. You're telling me there's no Jewish zombie or whatever. Anyway, the boy and the girl, they're a zombie and a vampire. They meet up again by chance, the vampires are doing a pro Catholicism rally or something, and the zombies are there because they're going to the beach, which looks to be a shitty pond in a park, but whatever. They just happen to meet up by chance, and, they're friendly, and it's a whole Romeo and Juliet thing, except they're not really in love. They're just buddies. And then they managed, the churches are well, we got to kill them because they're friends, and that can't be for some reason. And then they managed to escape the churches with the help of some werewolves, who I guess are part of a third church. I don't know. The big thing is this movie is a musical, and there are a fuck ton of songs, but it doesn't make sense because the songs are not they're not about vampires and werewolves and zombies and stuff like that. They're just songs that are if you believe, stuff like that. Or how you got to pick yourself up when you're feeling down, or, how you're in love with someone, but you can't be with them. And I don't know if any of them even mention this other stuff. You know what I mean? It's very light on that. Seems like a wasted opportunity. Here's the thing about me and musicals. Basic form, I don't like them. But, I can usually at least find a respect for them if they operate in one of three ways. One, the songs are bangers, even though the rest is kind of bullshit. Two, the songs are boring, but the dancing and the visuals and some of the sets and stuff are really great. Three, nothing particularly great about the show is going on, but I'm so invested in the source material that I'd be willing to give it a shot. If they made an Iron Maiden musical, I would be I would try it. You know what I mean? I'd probably give it a go. I've seen Evil Dead the musical twice. Once in Vegas, which seems like a reasonably Vegas-y thing to do, pre-Sphere anyway. And once near home, which is, also reasonable because I didn't make much of an effort and saw it. So Lukewarm doesn't have any of those three things going on. The songs are boring, and they could just be in any fucking musical. You know what I mean? The visuals, there's nothing going on. They're in a church rec room or at a park. There's only like backup dancers a couple times, which is a huge missed opportunity. We've all fucking seen Thriller. We've seen how this can work. You know what I mean? It can work beautifully. Get a goddamn fog machine, for fuck's sake. And then, like, as far as the singing goes, you know, I know that's a part that people can make or break a musical for people. And, like, I'm not good at evaluating singers, so I'm not going to shit on them for that part. I mean, especially having played the theme song that I've played, like, I don't know, 12 times at this point. Like, how hard can I go at someone for being a shitty singer? But, like, there's nothing about their singing that blew me away or something. I wasn't like, I wonder if they've put out an album or something. So, like, here's the thing I can say about Lukewarm that's positive. Like, it's ambitious. I think the idea of making a horror musical is ambitious. You don't see a lot of them. So that's something. But, you know, maybe there's a good reason, right? Maybe the reason that you don't see horror musicals is because, like, writing and performing musicals is hard. And so, like, I don't know. It's hard to make an indie movie with like more than 10 people in it and find like actual decent actors and like make it not look like shit and stuff. And you're like, what if we layered on top of that needing to find good singers? You're like, yeah, I mean, that seems like a terrible idea. I don't know. I think also when you watch a musical movie, you know, in my opinion, there's none of the tension of when you go to see a live musical. Like, you know, a dancer fucks up in the movie, they'll just do it again, right? They'll just cut, do a new take. They're just lip syncing. So there's like nothing happening there. And like, I'm realizing that I treat musicals like some people treat NASCAR. Like, you know, they're just there because someone could crash, I guess. I'm not there because I want to see that happen. It's just more that I'm like, this is actually someone who actually sounds like that. They can actually sing like that. You know what I mean? And dance like that and stuff. So that's more impressive to me than a computer animator could make this happen. So today's rating system is a Billboard 100 chart. 100 being the best thing musically, 1 being the worst. And I'm going to go ahead and give this like a 4. Which seems generous, but I'm fairly certain there have to be like 3 worse things than this, right? I mean, I can definitely give them that much. It's the spirit of giving, which goes along with the season. I know you all think that Christmas is the season of giving, but on Halloween you give candy to complete fucking strangers. That is generosity. Not giving like, you know, gifts that your relatives specifically listed for you and buying them and having them shipped to your doorfront. That's not that big a deal. Giving a bunch of candy to kids you've never even seen before, that's a big deal. That's generous.
Podoween 2025.